the very end. Good evening and welcome to the second Beyond the Front Page show for tonight, produced by Community College for the spring 2017 semester and broadcast on Time Warner Communications, Verizon Fios, the Auburn Regional Media Access, and which is better known as ARMA, as well as Win 89.1, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. Up until the current conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, it was the United States' longest running conflict, a war that saw 58,000 American men and women pay the highest price and sacrifice with their lives. Nearly 3 million Americans fought in the Vietnam War. This June, Port Barn will be hosting a replica of the Vietnam Memorial located in the mall in Washington. The traveling exhibit, which is about half the size of the original, if you've ever seen it, will be on display in Port Barn from June 1st through the 4th. We have with us three key figures in the planning for this event. Dr. Linda Townsend, the first woman and first Democrat to ever chair the Cuyahoga County Legislature. You didn't think I'd remember that. Teaches in Port Barn. Lou PATTI, who's the president of the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 704 here in Cuyahoga County, and Vietnam veteran Nick Valenti, who is also a director of the Central New York District of Vietnam Veterans, to talk about the upcoming event. We know it's about 2 months away, but they are still trying to solicit funds and, more importantly, volunteers. So, with that, welcome to Beyond the Front Page. We're delighted to have you here today.
Thank you for having us.
So, Doctor, I'll ask the most basic questions. What is the Wall That Heals?
Okay. The Wall That Heals is an idea that was presented by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund 35 years ago, basically to allow people who didn't have an opportunity to get to Washington, D.C. to see the actual wall, to have that opportunity. And also there's an educational component for school children now with the Wall of Faces, with mementos, memories, and if people wish to have a wall rubbing or get information on the names that are listed on the wall, they have a data center that's right available for someone to have that opportunity to get information.
So the wall is in Washington, it's 24 panels. This will
Yes.
this is one that's half the size.
Yes.
It travels on a special
travels-
display, but it's 24 panels as well. Will people be able to do rubbings from that as well?
No.
Okay,
What they will do, they can ask at the Wall of Faces, the traveling education exhibit. They fill out a card and they can ask, and then within 2 weeks, one of the yellow jackets, as they're called, the volunteers there from the Park Service will assist the Vermont the Veterans Memorial Fund in getting the rubbing to the people. We have 27 rubbings right now that are on display in our high school.
So 27 because there were 27 Cuyahoga County, and we'll talk about
Yes.
later. You're doing something that's very cool. It's the Wall of Faces that we'll talk about at the end, because we want to enlist some help. You're
Yes.
missing some data from
Yes.
some people, and we'll talk about. But 27 young men died in the conflict. We know Stryker because he's a Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Did either of you serve with any of the 27 that passed away?
I didn't.
You did, okay.
I
So
did.
when were you in the service?
The service itself, I went in October of 1962 and got out in October of 1965.
And how long did you spend in Vietnam?
1 year.
And where were you stationed?
I was stationed out at TOWNSEND, which is about 3-4 miles from Saigon. It's
The air base
the
there?
air base there, yes. And I was trained for one thing and ended up over there doing something else.
Well,
But
that's the United States government. So
Yeah.
what were you trained for and what did you do?
I was trained as a small arms repairman, and when I got to Vietnam, first couple of months I did a couple of things here and there, ammo, humping ammo and whatnot. But I ended up working on they were just bringing the gunship Huey helicopters over there, because I was over there early in '63. And so I ended up being an armorer on the helicopters, fixing the machine guns and the rockets and whatnot. So,
Mr. Valenti, when were you over there?
I joined the Marine Corps 1968. In August of '68, they sent us overseas. I got attached to the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, 3rd Marine Division, and they put me on a helicopter carrier because they took our unit and they made us an amphibious landing team. And we did that for about 7 to 8 months.
Okay.
During that time, although they trained me in anti-tank assault, which is not the healthiest thing you'd want to do, they turned around and they said, "Oh, you went to school?" I said, "Yes." And so they decided they were going to have me run a battalion legal section. So I ended up doing battalion legal for the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines.
So how many, you did one tour in Vietnam, and
Yes.
you did?
One.
One as well, okay. And I want to come back to your, the 704 if we can, but I do want to get some other information. When will this be in Port Barnes?
Okay, the motorcade arrives on May 31st. The motorcade, Mr. Valenti, Mr. Patti can speak to that. It'll be approximately 40 miles, starting in Groton. We will be passing Auburn High School, Moravia High School, Seward School. We'll be making a stop at the Port Byron Post Office, because for the first time in history of the wall, we are having a pictorial postal cancellation, which
I
is
was
a
surprised that
national
they've
first.
never done this before. The postmaster in Port Barnes is doing a special cancellation. If you're a collector, this is something you want to do.
Well, I worked with Mr. Wingood putting together the idea for doing that, and there were a lot of calls and emails to Kansas City and then UPS and Washington, D.C., and they're going to be making the official announcement May 25th. So if you're a stamp collector, I guess it's quite a circumstance to have this in your possession.
Covers, yeah.
They'll be there for the 4 days, and the motorcade will be making a stop at the post office for pictures and then on to our athletic field for the setup
So it
that
will be
evening.
at the athletic field, and will this be something that will be operated 24 hours a day, or
Yes.
are there only certain hours that people can come?
No, the wall will be open 24 hours a day as soon as it's put up on the evening of May 31st.
And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the events that because you do have some speakers every day. You have
Yes.
some events.
The whole philosophy behind our executive committee planning was that we provide the community with an opportunity for each of the segments that involves the human empathy for the people that served in Vietnam and their family members who are there and are surviving veterans. And we tried to make each day be very special with specific speakers and tasks. And there are 4 themes: to dedicate, remember, heal, and educate.
And does it cost anything? Do you have to pay to come and visit?
Well, we're trying to gather about $20,000. We're almost halfway there. And it's just not just bringing the wall, but we have to help out with the infrastructure that has to be put in place. We have to pay some people to work around there for us.
But what I'm saying is there's not an admission charge.
No,
Okay.
no admission.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have been
Yeah,
going.
no, that's
no
all right.
parking charge either.
No parking charge.
Okay.
So why did you, I understand your association with Port Barnes, you're a teacher
teacher.
there? You've been there how long?
More than 20 years.
Okay, more than 20 years. Why Port Barnes?
Well, when I put the application in last May, I talked to Nick and Lou. We were trying to decide what the most appropriate spot would be, and then when we got the notification in October, I approached our school superintendent because, number one, it's our educational learning community for where I teach, where my students are, and I've had a number of my students go into the service, but also in terms of people being able to get there, it's right off a thruway exit, and ingress and egress would be very good.
Okay.
Plus the fact, the Congressional Medal of Honor winner, Robert Stryker, is from our home community, and he is the first Medal of Honor winner that we've had from Port Byron, and we have another soldier who died in a helicopter crash that took the mission he didn't have to take, and he was from Wheatsport as well.
And has the wall ever been in Cuyahoga County?
1999,
Okay.
we brought the wall, we put it over on Deauville Island.
I vaguely remember that. Okay. And so one of the things that you are doing is, you just said it cost about $20,000
Yeah.
to bring this about. So you are trying to raise funds. I know you, in some of the materials, you're very nice about sending a lot of good information to us. You're got a deadline of about a month from now where you'd like to get most of the money in. We are putting up on the screen where people can make donations. Are they tax deductible donations?
They can speak to that.
Okay.
No, they wouldn't be tax deductible. We're a 501c19.
Okay.
If we were a 501c3, then they would be tax deductible.
So they can send donations, and this
Yes.
is going to defray the cost of...
Absolutely, positively. 100% of the money goes to defraying the cost.
And you also are looking for volunteers
Yes.
for this. So why I asked about the 24 hours, I know when they did the flags, when they've done them at both Hoops Park and at East Middle, they have had people stand watch, and that they've had Boy Scouts and whatnot. How many volunteers are you looking for?
We're looking for approximately 160 volunteers. That's in addition to the 20 plus for setup and takedown of the wall, and those people are specifically trained by the Memorial Fund person that comes with the wall.
And how does somebody volunteer for that?
They can contact us at the school, on the school website, or they can contact me at the school at my email. There's a special email that's been set up by our district, heroes@pbschool.org.
Which I believe is on the website
Yes.
that we're doing that.
Yes.
Some of the money, now is some of the money that's being raised, that's being used to pay for bringing it here, is that going towards the education center that they want to put in Washington as well, or is that, that was one question I had on.
No, any funds that are collected by us are used specifically for the project here. If people wish to make donations to the wall process in Washington, D.C., they can do that. There is a special website and mailing address, and Jim Knotts, the executive director, is very sure about getting information out to anyone who wishes to donate. And my guess is they probably will have some information available at the Mobile Education Center if someone wishes to donate to the cause.
To the national, but
Yes.
for you, people can write a check, whether it's $5 or $500 or more. Do you have any sponsors that are local sponsors for this as of yet?
Well, right now we have the two local sponsors we have are American Legion
Okay.
that have stepped up. The Carneselli and Delicato Post stepped up, made a sizable donation, and so did the County American Legion. They actually, their initiative gave us the opportunity to at least make the down payment to get the wall to come here.
So is the 704, your chapter, is that for Auburn or just Cuyahoga County?
We've got members from many states.
Okay.
You know, people who lived here and moved on and never.
So how big a group are you?
We've got 50 members on the books.
And do we have any idea how many people from Cuyahoga County served in Vietnam?
I don't know. You?
Several thousand,
Okay.
actually. Several thousand. Unfortunately, as we get older, our ranks begin to
Okay.
diminish.
If you check with the state, they can't really give you an accurate figure either, because we have tried to ascertain the information.
One of the items I do want to ask, and we'll come back to this, but I don't want to leave it out, is one of the items that you're doing is called Wall of Faces. So for
Yes.
that particularly, what is that?
Okay, the Wall of Faces is the mobile traveling exhibit that Washington has put together. That day, there will be a huge TV screen size panel showing the wall of faces with all of our soldiers from our county and all the adjacent counties that we had submitted to them. And the gentleman who's in charge of our site will put in all the faces and information that he has of those people, like the specific people had birthdays that date and such, and it's to allow people an opportunity to take a look and walk back into the past to see that fallen soldier that's a member of their family. It also is a good segue for students to also understand that some of those people weren't much older than they were when they had.
And you are doing something, I'll come back to the wall as we finish off, but you are doing something called dog tag ceremony. I want to
Yes.
include what you're doing with Port Barn school students. What's that?
All right, the Wreaths Across America people, we do a special ceremony in December every year. Our school does with the community in the 704. And in talking with the executive director of the Wreaths Across America, I asked them if they could make us dog tags for each of the 27 men. And what will happen is that the day that we have our remembrance ceremony, along with the rose being placed at the wall, one of our students will take the ceremonial dog tag and place it on a dedicated tree that will later be planted on school property at a special appropriate time for dedication. Not just for those 27 men, but for any veteran in Cuyahoga County. Is symbolic. It'll be the second Veterans Memorial tree in our county. The first is in front of the historic post office building. That was dedicated in 1985, but it's kind of not one where the public can go and walk right up and put something on there. So, and it'll be a focal point for our students.
And you have information on 20 of the 27, correct?
Yes, we have the Veterans Memorial Fund in Washington, D.C. has photos and information on 20 of our men. We have 7 that we still need information on, pictures, any data that might be available. If someone went to school with them, has a yearbook picture, has a recollection that they could write about them, if they could send it to us, we'd appreciate it. We will send it out to
And you can send it to the website and that information. So I'd like to read those 7 names. 6 of them are from Auburn: Clarence Hodge, Frank Nevedowski, Joseph
Poirier.
Pierre, Thomas Reynolds, Donald Ryan, and Terry Toole were all of Auburn, who passed away. And also killed was Darrell Standard, and he's from Fairhaven.
Yes.
So that information can be sent to the website as well.
Yes.
We do encourage you not only to donate if you can to the Wall That Heals for the event that will be from June 1st to June 4th in Port Barn. We do want to thank our 3 guests today for this special Beyond the Front Page discussing the Wall That Heals. They have been Dr. Linda Townsend, who is a member of the staff and a teacher at Port Barn High School, as well as Lou PATTI, who is a member of, who is president of the local 704 chapter of the Vietnam Veterans here in Cuyahoga County, and Nick Valenti, who is a central district representative and also another Vietnam veteran. And we want to thank you all for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week with our normal round of shows. On Tuesday, we'll have on Inside Government Jeff Parazola and Lisa Green of the Auburn Enlarged School District talking about the 2018 budget that goes to voters next month. That'll be followed by 2 Beyond the Front Pages, similar to what we did today with short pieces. One on Major Palooza featuring Chris Major, and the second one having Adam Winslow, the new and returning general manager of the Auburn Double Days, who will talk about Falcon Park and what's going on this summer. On next Thursday, we'll have Senator John DeFrancisco, the Deputy Majority Leader, on to give us an Albany update about the budget and some of the items that we talked with Assemblyman Oaks on, as well as followed by Auburn's Hall of Distinction for the Auburn Education Foundation. And 2 Tuesdays from now, we'll be back with our Auburn Enlarged School District forum, as long as there are qualified candidates who are running, in the sense numerically. But we would like your ideas for questions and guests you'd like to send to us. You can do that at Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York, 13021, or at cozguytho@aol.com. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cuyahoga Community College. We want to thank you for watching. We hope you have a good night, have a great tomorrow, and make sure to support the Vietnam Veterans Wall That Heals that will be in Port Barn next month. they might want to,
Sure.
if they're staying at the Holiday Inn or the Hilton, they might want to get a ride share to go to Bass Pro. But you represent a largely rural area. You go north and you go west. Is it really going to matter?
Well, I originally looked at this and kind of laughed and said, yeah, when I go visit New York City or I go visit some